Hello, I'm Erwin Bremens and I'm in problem 15 with vector self-laser model. So here's the problem. I have to think of an...
Could you just please speak louder?
Yes.
Just yell.
Okay. This is the problem. I had to think of an interesting optical study that includes a laser pointer, and I'm going to measure width of very thin objects using light diffraction. So first of all, something about waves and interference. So light has the wave particle duality, but for this experiment only the wave properties are important, and one of them is interference. So when two waves come together, if they are in phase, then their amplitude is going to increase. And if they are out of phase, they are going to cancel out. And if there are something in between, basically their amplitude is going to change. So in order to clarify this a little bit better, I programmed the wave simulator in Java in processing. And so each pixel in this picture represents the sum of waves from point sources. So each slit is simulated as lots of point sources. And the white represents a high amplitude, the black represents a low amplitude, and this is just a demo of the classical two-slit experiments with diffraction. And now this is the same simulator, but this time you can see the light diffracting of an obstacle instead of slits, which is what I'm using. And you can see here that we have light patterns with high amplitude, and then here there is just gray that is low amplitude, so it is dark. And of course the object size must be comparable to the wavelength of light, because the waves coming from either side of the object must be able to come together and interfere with each other. So this is so here we have our object, and we have two light rays coming away from it. Now if the surface we are projecting to is very far away, we can approximate them as parallel light rays. So then this triangle here is a right angle triangle. And this bit here, delta L, we can write it down as sine theta, which is this angle, times the hypotenuse d. And since the theta is small, we can approximate this antitangent of theta times d. And again, if these are parallel, then theta is also here. These two triangles are similar, the dx and then back here. So we plug it into the formula for the tangent, because it's the ratio of the two sides of the triangle, and we get x, which is the distance from the minimum or maximum to the center, times d over d is delta L. And now delta L, if we want constructive interference, it has to be a whole number multiple of the wavelength, because we want the waves to be in phase. So we plug it in and we solve for d, and we get n times lambda times d over x equals d. And that is a very good approximation if the projection surface is far away, and I will use 3D for this experiment. So here you can see the laser I was using, just a standard red laser pointer, and I attached it to a block of wood with rubber bands, and I also use the same rubber bands to keep the laser turned on, to keep the button pressed. And for attaching the thin objects, I use the cardboard frame that I taped the objects across. So here you can see the whole experimental setup. I put the laser on the table, which is parallel to the floor, which is important because the projection surface should be perpendicular to the laser beam. And the object to be measured is set horizontally, and I measured the distance to the wall with the tape measure. It was 244 centimeters, so about 2.5 meters. And I measured 4 objects. One of them was thin copper wire, which was taken from this coil here. Then I took 2 kinds of artificial fur, and also human hair. I was measuring in a completely dark room, because then I can see more the diffraction fringes. And I measured with a pen and a ruler, so I took a ruler, and then since I couldn't see anything, I couldn't read it from the ruler. Instead, I took a pen and made a mark on the ruler, and then I turned on the lights, and then I could actually see what the distance was. I measured between 3 dark areas, you can see like that, because that was the most I could see. And I repeated each measurement 5 times. Here you can see a picture with the sensor's blind spot covered, because then you can see more clearly the other spots on the camera. So here are the results. You can see that the artificial furs are actually much thicker than human hair, which is why they don't feel the same. And the copper wire was actually thinner than the human hair. So the conclusion is the method is perfectly applicable to very thin objects in the micrometer range, tens of micrometers, and it is very precise because the maximum error across all the measurements for all the objects was only 2.9%. And we can see that it's certainly usable for objects between 50 and 170 micrometers, and it is certainly usable for thinner objects and probably thicker objects, but we can't really go much deeper than this because then the individual diffraction patterns would be much closer together and it would be very hard to measure. This is the literature that I used, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Clarifying questions of the opponent.
Back to the slide with three types of strings.
Yes. This one.
Yes. And then there, can you go to the slide with the formula and with
This one?
yes, and we can describe a little bit your
Yes, so this delta L, this length, that has to be a whole number multiple of the wavelength because the waves have to be in phase for the constructive interference at this point. And we can just write it down as the sine of theta, this angle, times the thickness of our object. And then because the theta is small, the hypotenuse of the triangle is pretty much the same length as this side of the triangle, so it is approximately the same as the tangent of theta times d. And these two triangles, this figure here you can see, and this small one are similar if the projected surface is far away. So we can, so the tangent theta is equal to x, which is this side of the big triangle over d, and then times small d gives us delta L, and then we know delta L equals n, which is equal 1 times lambda, and if we solve for d, we get this formula.
So we can continue to preparations for the opponent.
The text of the problem suggests an interesting graphical study involving the problem from a laser pointer. Pros of theory are you had a program in your investigation and equations. You had a good setup in your experiment, and I think you had lack of experiments and you should do some more. You had good results, but you should make some graphs or you should work on better presentations of your results. And like I said, we had a lot of graphs. If you use other sources of light, would the result change?
Well, it depends. So it's important that the source of the light is a laser because the laser is coherent light, which means it's a single wavelength and all the waves are in phase. And if we, for example, use just a normal light bulb, it emits many different wavelengths and the waves are out of phase, so we wouldn't get a clear interference pattern.
Okay.
If we use a different laser, the results will change, but then we just have to plug in a different wavelength.
You mean if we use polychromatic light, the result in terms won't be the same?
Yes.
So what you expect?
I mean, if you use monochromatic light, we wouldn't get a clear interference pattern. But if you use light of a different color, then the interference pattern will change, but the results, I think, will change significantly.
Okay, one question is, will different color laser be different? How will it change? You said it
Yes,
was
so distance between the individual diffraction elements would change, but then we just have to plug in the different wavelengths into the formula and then we get again the same result.
Okay. And that's it.
That's all for discussion. Okay, clarifying questions from the reviewer.
We can go to the slide with the plot.
Excuse me, which one?
Plot.
With the
Okay, so did you compare the thickness and your measurements?
So, I mean, I didn't have another method that would measure such thin objects precisely, and I did use calipers, and I mean, I got for the human hair about 0.6 millimeters, but they don't get any more precise than that, so it is the right order of magnitude, this is what you would expect, but I'm not sure how correct it is exactly.
Okay. Do you have any idea how?
Well, yes, I will try to use the microscope to do it, but I will have to ask at school because, well, I need a good microscope and I need, I'm not sure how to say it, like the little measuring scale of the objective, so, but I think that would be,
Okay, and do you think that human hair is always 70? I mean, the same.
you mean like in one hair that does the thickness vary?
Yes.
Well, I think it's always approximately the same thickness, at least like, maybe it's the tip becomes a little thinner or something, but in the middle I think it's the same thickness.
And you think that you get the average? Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. That's it.
Operation.
This is a great idea how to use laser, and he had enough measurements, and he calculated errors, which is great. And he didn't mention what about improvements, but now in discussion, he said. And for a moment, he said that he should make some graphs, and I think that this is okay. He showed us his results. And points of discussion were not really good because in problem he said that he must use laser. And opponent asked about other lights. And that's it.
Thank you. Final statement by opponent.
I'd like to thank the reviewer on her comments. I agree with her, but I asked for other sources of light because I was interested and to see if reporter know about interference and theory of the problem.
Okay, final statement by the reporter.
I would also like to thank the reviewer and the opponent for the fight, and I agree with everything the reviewer said. I think it would be good if I may actually check the accuracy of the measurement method that I'm going to put.
Okay, clarifying questions of the jury. Anna, could you start?
Okay. So when we're here for this slide, can you describe how you calculated the standard deviation?
So these are not the standard deviations values here. These are the maximum maps. This is the maximum absolute error in this table.
absolute or standard error?
Maximum absolute.
Okay, okay, okay.
And can you tell us a bit more about the program you use for interference visualization?
You mean about
You say you developed it.
yes.
Did it go from scratch or you used something?
Well, I used processing, which is like a Java programming environment which has built-in graphics, right? But everything else I programmed myself.
Okay, Donald?
I don't know.
Jonathan?
So please.
Okay, you mentioned that you have repeated every measurement for 5 times.
Yes.
What did you change between those measurements? I mean, did you reset the laser maybe, or?
No, I mean, I didn't really change anything. I just wrote down the measurements and turned off the lights again, but there were differences because it was dark and I couldn't exactly see, so every time I did the millimeter
Okay.
difference.
Well, you mentioned already that you don't know the accuracy, but what do you think about the precision of your measurements?
Well, I think they were quite precise because, well, I said the maximum error was 3% and like on average I was only at like 1.2%.
That was also maximum absolute error.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I checked the average human hair and it goes in range with your measurement, so I suppose it's an okay measurement. Not really scientifically said, but and another question is what was the wavelength of your laser you used,
640 nanometers.
and how did you get that number?
It's reasonable.
It's a laser specification. Okay. Well, that's it for me.
Okay, I have a few questions. First for Marco. So you stated that the problem wasn't solved, so what do you think that the reporter should do to solve the problem?
I said problem isn't solved.
Completely, yes. That it misses something.
Okay. I meant she could use other methods and maybe make some more experiments.
Okay.
Not just one with those spring and later.
And in your statement, you should probably state why are the questions you are proposing into discussion relevant and why do you want to investigate them, because you haven't used half of the time you had. Yes. For Elena, I almost thought that you will miss the reviewer role, but you're okay. So I think it was a really okay review. And for Gergur, how did you ensure that laser was perpendicular?
So the table was parallel to the ground. I checked it with I don't know how to say it in English.
Okay.
And then the laser was attached to power base to the block of wood, so it was also in the same level as the table.
Was it? Your rubber bands aren't.
Underneath, the rubber bands are. They don't have any bands.
Okay. And could the laser be had some angle?
You mean like up or down, up and down, or?
Less of. All right.
Yes, but then the projection surface would be closer for one part. For example, if you took it to the left, it would be closer for the right part of the diffraction pattern than for the left. So actually, the diffraction line would be closer on the right than on the left. It wouldn't be symmetrical anymore.
So you ensure that it was
Yes.
And how did you?
Well, because instead of the object that I was measuring was parallel to the ground, and so because the table was perpendicular to the wall that I was projecting to, then the laser was also, the laser beam was also perpendicular. That is why I didn't use a vertical. I didn't put the object vertically, even though it would be easier than to aim the laser at it, because then it would be hard to ensure that it is perpendicular to the wall.
Okay, and what are the limitations of your experiment?
What do you mean?
So, I asked you in email, so could you measure the thickness of a glass that is used in microscope?
Well, I'm not sure, but I think I could. I mean, it is, I think, certainly in the right range of thickness, but the glass is transparent, so it would also have the light of the laser passing through. But I think that wouldn't affect the measurement because, for example, over here we also have all the light of the laser that is going around the object, and if the projection surface is far enough, it just creates a bright spot in the middle that doesn't affect the rest. So I think it would be possible, yes.
Okay. You have a question?
Yes, I managed to think of something. Okay, from a biological standard, or actually protein standard of view, you've done a hair follicle, or actually hair, human hair, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And as I know, I know that you stretch it really hard, to measure, right?
Yes.
Because it's like that, yeah. But as I know from a microscopic view, a hair follicle or a human hair is how do I say? It's not like just a straight line. It's how do I say? Sorry? Spiral, yeah, something like that. Yes. So does this maybe affect your measurements, or the how to say that it's not really smooth the surface area of the hair, but it has some particles in it.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I think it could affect the measurements, but I think it is smooth enough, and I didn't stretch it too hard because it would break. It's just enough to be completely straight. But yes, it could affect the measurements. I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Okay. Regarding the opponency, I just have a comment to say that try to, when you already put pros and cons, if you don't have any try to somehow manage this to put on one side or something like that. I don't know, or even how to say, to a little bit, work on it. I think your ideas were good, but try to put them, or at least if you put some stuff on the slides, try to explain them, because you mentioned there was some parts of the slide you didn't even mention. So just some comments. Okay, that's all of me.
So, any more comments or questions? No. Okay, we'll take a break, 5 minutes.